Hello, welcome to Furniture Clinic. In this video, we're going to show you the basic process for colour matching leather using our products. To start your colour match, open the instruction leaflet and find the colour you want to match. You will find detailed instructions of how to match the colour here. To start with, thoroughly shake the base colour and pour a small amount into the mixing cup. We're only making a small repair, so there is no need to use a lot of colour. In this case, the leather we're trying to match is lighter than the base colour, so we'll start by adding white to lighten the colour. Shake the bottle of white thoroughly and pour some into the mixing cup. In this case, we'll be mixing equal quantities of base and white, as this is a fairly pale blue. If you are unsure of how much to add, just add a tiny amount and see what effect it has on the colour before adding more. Stir the colours together in the mixing cup, making sure they are thoroughly mixed. At this stage, the colour probably won't match, but we'll still put some onto the leather so we can see how the colour needs to be tinted to make it match perfectly. To do this, apply a small amount of colour onto the leather with a cotton wool bud. Leave the colour to dry naturally for 10 minutes, or dry it off instantly with a hairdryer. As the colour dries, you can see it is lighter than the leather. This is because we have added too much white, and so we'll now darken the colour by adding black. Shake the small black tint bottle thoroughly, and then pour a few tiny drops into the mix. Only put a small amount in the first time to test the strength of the tint in this mixture. If you add too much, you may ruin the match and have to start again. Stir the new colour into the mix thoroughly to make sure it is all mixed together, and then compare the colour in the mixing cup to the colour of the leather. This mix looks like it's quite close, so we'll now put another bit onto the leather to see if it matches. But if it still looked too light, you could always add some more black before testing it on the leather. Rub a small amount onto the leather and dry it off with a hairdryer. Do this in the same way as before and then allow it to dry. It is important to let the colour dry before confirming the match, as the colours will always darken slightly when thoroughly dried. It's best to put your second match next to the first, so you can see the progress you are making with the match. You can see that the colour is still slightly lighter than the leather, so we'll add a little more black to further darken the mix. You can roughly work out how much extra black to add, based on the effect it had on the colour the first time. Stir the black thoroughly into the mixture again and add some more if necessary. Test the new match next to the second colour and dry it off with a hairdryer. The colour seems to be blending in better, so we'll put a second layer of colour on top of the first, just to make sure. The more colour we apply, the truer the match becomes. You can see now that as we dry this off, the colour is still a little light, so we need to add a bit more black to further darken the mix. Pour a small amount of black into the mix and stir thoroughly before applying it onto the leather. Using a cotton wool bud, rub the colour onto the leather and dry it off again with the hairdryer. You can see that this time the colour has matched perfectly, so we can now proceed to make the repair.